Right then, we are in November, which means we are almost in December. And if you know how years work, then it means January is not too far behind. It means we're a couple of weeks away from the transfer market rumour mill starting to really kick into gear. Now, United, for me, have got a couple of areas that we need to improve, a couple of areas that we have to bring in some reinforcements. Whether we do or not is an entirely other argument. But for me, we have to bring in some players in some key positions. Now, this list I'm going to put together is going to be a little bit aspirational, a little bit of a here's what I hope we can get rather than a here's what we're going to get. I'm not going to do a here's what we're going to get because I haven't got a clue what United are going to sign, and I'm not even hearing anything about what United could sign. So I'm going to say here's what I think Manchester United need, and here's the players that I think would fit that bill. Now, I'm looking for players that are going to fit Manchester United's transfer model, or what appears to be United's transfer model, which is players that are really starting to peak and are under 23 or so. And I know we've recently signed Cavani, and I know he doesn't fit that bill, and I know you wouldn't have necessarily said that Bruno fits that bill, but the likes of Donny van de Beek, the likes of Wan-Bissaka, the likes of Dan James, these are players that fit that mould that I think United have been trying to find players in. I think Upamecano, and he's definitely on the list, and Erling Haaland, who's also on the list, those are players that certainly fit that. And obviously Jadon Sancho kind of fits that mould of exciting under 23 worldwide player that's probably got a little bit of experience in Europe. So that's what I think is United's transfer model. There's obviously players that are getting signed outside of that, but I think that's United's sort of framework transfer model. And here's the 5 players and why that I think United would be going for. First on the list then is Eduardo Camavinga. 18-year-old French midfielder. When he made his debut last year, he was the youngest player ever to play for Rennes at 16 years and 4 months old. He was instrumental in his debut season at Rennes in a 2-1 win over PSG, where he managed to register an assist. He controls the game really well. He's got an incredible level of match intelligence for his age. Recently, he made his debut for France in their 7-1 win over Ukraine, and he scored the opener with an overhead kick. He's deemed to be more one of the long-term replacements for Paul Pogba. He's got a pass accuracy this season of 87.7%. He's got 6.9 combined tackles and interceptions per 90 minutes. Last season, he registered 2 goals and 3 assists from deep so far in his career. And I think he would cost quite a lot of money. Some places have been quoting upwards of £80 million for him, but I think he's the real deal. And I think he's certainly someone that could be at the heart of Manchester United's midfield for 15 years. And when you look at those sort of investments like Wayne Rooney, like Rio Ferdinand, that you have for so long, you buy them as a 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old. If you have them then for over a decade, their cost per season drops down to next to nothing. Next up is a name that's no stranger to anyone that's watched any of my content or any of the Stretford Paddock content. And obviously Ole Gunnar Solskjaer himself even started talking about this guy in a press conference, highlighting just how close he was. Now, this deal for him didn't pay off initially, but I still think that there's a very, very strong prospect that Erling Haaland does end up as a Manchester United player one day. Now, 20 years old, he signed for pennies by Dortmund following RB Salzburg success that he had after being heavily linked with United. He has worked with Solskjaer before. He came through at Molde under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, a serious generational player. In 120 games so far in his career, he's registered an incredible 94 goals, which is, honestly, it's outstanding. He's got 18 goals in 17 games in Europe and 56 in 56 games across RB and Dortmund at club level. He's got an ability to strike the ball from any angle, from any distance, and sometimes even with either foot. He's absolutely deadly. He is the complete striker. He is tall, he is physical, but he's also fast, and he's very, very good on the ball. He also once scored 9 goals in a Norwegian under-21 game for the national team. He's an absolute freak of nature. Now, I don't really care how much he costs. It's evident United want him. It's evident Solskjaer wants him. And I think in signing Cavani, he's not blocked up the possibility of us signing Erling Haaland in the future. Well, I think the time to look at getting him might actually be in January. I know he's got a release clause, which is activated, I believe, in the summer. But I think you put enough money in front of Dortmund, exactly the same thing that would have happened with Jadon Sancho. If you put in what they want, they will sell the guy. And looking at the impact that Bruno Fernandes had on Manchester United's season in January Imagine bringing in someone like Erling Haaland for the running in this season. It could make all of the difference. Number 3 on the list then, Dayot Upamecano. Obviously a name that's been heavily linked with Manchester United, actually since he came on trial at Manchester United. Leipzig have secured the services of potentially Upamecano's replacement in highly rated 18-year-old Josko Vardiol from Dinamo Zagreb, who actually could have been a perfect signing for Manchester United if we were looking in this kind of mould, but obviously Leipzig have managed to secure him. It seems like they're preparing for his exit. It definitely looks like they're letting him go. He signed a new deal which reduced his buyout clause, which I think is a little bit of a warning sign. It's a €42 million release clause, which activates next summer. That's £36.5 million currently. It was phenomenal for Leipzig last season. Intelligence off the ball makes him a fantastic option for United. 3.5 combined tackles and interceptions last season. 89.1% pass accuracy, with nearly 6 of his passes per game being a long ball, is a bit of a joke in terms of the output that this kid gives you. My worry is that Bayern Munich are going to strike. The talk that Bayern Munich are interested in him has to be taken seriously. They're clearing ranks by not re-signing Jerome Boateng. It makes a lot of sense that he would then move on to Bayern Munich. That's a well-worn path in German football. So I hope he doesn't go there, but if there's any opportunity to get him 36.5 million, it's a no-brainer for me. This kid, again, could be the future of Manchester United. 20 years ago, we paid roughly that kind of money for Rio Ferdinand, and it was a bargain then, and it'd still be a bargain now for Upamecano. Sander Berge. So there was a bit of a flurry of interest and a couple of journalists saying that Sander Berge was on his way to Carrington for a medical, which turned out to be false. But Sheffield United are suffering in the league from a lack of creativity and could be facing the drop if they don't see an uptake in their form. And that might leave Sander Berge up for grabs. Famously had a youth keeper mistaken for him, as I said, by Samuel Luckhurst as the player entered the training ground in the back of a car. Very, very defensive. Very, very solid defensive midfielder. 1.7 combined tackles and interceptions per 90. He's got a goal and assist. 83.3% pass accuracy. He's a very physical player, suited to playing in a double pivot, which United have really enjoyed using a lot of this season. Probably available at a massively discounted price if Sheffield United go down. Not necessarily someone that you definitely see coming in January, but it might be an option if United feel like they need a bit of depth in that area. See, you all thought I was going to talk about Sal Niguez, didn't you? As my defensive midfield option. I've tried to make it a little realistic, but obviously if I had a chance, Sal Niguez would be that guy. And finally then, we've got a little bit of a wild card for you. I like to throw these in and have a look around what's going on around in Europe. What's a player that could probably step up and play football at a higher level? It doesn't need to be everybody that you've seen playing for all of the elite teams in Europe. It can be a little bit of a bargain that you can go and pick up somewhere as well. And I think we've got one here in Viktor Shaikhanov, and I've definitely butchered that, 22-year-old Ukrainian right winger, plays for Dynamo Kiev, current vice captain of the side, has definitely got leadership qualities that would certainly benefit us. Obviously someone that we need on the right hand side, probably available pretty cheap. Set piece specialist, got excellent free kicks, good corners, which is nice for us to have. We saw the impact Tellez had in one match with good corners. Very good in the press, which I think is something that Solskjaer's looking to develop. But his movement is one of the key highlights of his play. Very good at laying it off and moving, gives and goes, doesn't ever seem to waste a move. He scored 52 goals in 116 league appearances, in 32 appearances in European competitions for Kiev, who, let's be honest, are a bit of a whooping boy. He has managed 10 goals and 11 assists, which is not bad. Nearly a goal contribution every 2 out of 3 games. It's pretty decent. He's been capped 24 times for Ukraine. He has scored 5 times, including Ukraine's only goal in that 7-1 routing back in October. Transfermarkt currently have him valued at around 17.5 million. If you even double that, that's still a pretty good value for money price for, you know, an established international, someone that's scoring goals in European competitions. So I think he'd be a decent little option for us, and certainly no one that we're going to be up against Real Madrid for example. So that's my 5. That's 5 players there that I think would go and do the business for United if they was going to get them. And like I said, I've tried to restrict myself and go with a little bit of a profile of maybe less known players, maybe players that might be available a little bit cheap. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one. Laters.